Hello you guys, welcome back to Lily Reads. So as you can tell by the title, today is the end of the year freak out tag, where we basically talk about all the things that we have read in the past 6 months at the middle of the year. What have we read? So as you can see, these are all of the books that I have read this year. I have read 70 books this year thus far. Even though I've read 70 books as of 6 months, I do not plan on reading 70 books in the next 6 months. I would only like to read about 40 more books. I don't want to really get past 110 books this year, but we'll see. I'm open to whatever. I'm open to doing whatever. So let me talk about my reading year thus far. It's been terrible. This is probably the worst reading year I have had to date. Not numbers wise. I have read more books this year than I probably read my entire life in a year. The thing is, I don't count my victories in reading as the amount that I read. I think about the quality of book that I read, and like looking at these books, there's books that I like. There's a couple that I love, but more importantly, there's books I care nothing about. I'm going to get my biggest book unhaul ever from this year because I just don't plan on keeping a lot of the books that I read this year. I'm just not at all that interested in them. They're just kind of there. You can't even really see them all. They're just kind of just there. They're just, I don't know. I've just not been interested. I'm so jealous of the people whose videos I'm watching like this, and they're talking about how much they love all of the books that they read, and oh my gosh, this was their best reading year thus far. It's like, I want to be you so bad, but I've only given, I think, 5-6 books 5 stars, and some of the books that I have given 5 stars, I kind of need to go in and change, because I think after the fact I feel different. Like, I'm begging for books to be good and they're just not. Like, I'm being nice in my ratings because I just don't want this reading year to be a flop. So the surprising thing looking at all of these books is the lack of romance on here. I have not read a lot of romance books this year, which is surprising because that's usually my biggest genre. But honestly, I've just been reading a lot of contemporary. So yeah, there's romantic elements, but I've really been reading a lot of contemporary. We have some thrillers, but really, that's pretty much all I've been reading is really contemporary fiction. Is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? I don't know. My best books are the contemporary ones. So like, I don't know if that's good or that's bad. I don't know. I think this year I went full 2 feet in on reading popular books that I own, and I have to get away from that. I have to get away from reading the popular books. All of these books are very popular, and I have to go back to being more picky about what I read. But let's get into the tag and all of that. I have the questions over on my computer, so we're just gonna get right into it. The best book that I have read in 2020. So I am going to give you some honorable mentions, and then we'll get into the best book that I've read. I put them at the top right here. So some honorable mentions of best books that I've read this year. Local Woman Missing by Mary Kubica. I always get that title wrong, but I got it right today. Local Woman Missing by Mary Kubica. This is a thriller about a woman who goes missing, a girl who goes missing, and a woman who is murdered. I enjoyed the hell out of this book. It has been a long time since a thriller has kept me reading well into the night, but this is what I needed to keep me going, because I just read so many duds before I read this book, and this book worked for me. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. I recommend it. I loved it. I really did. So honorable mention, not my favorite book of the year, but honorable mention. My next honorable mention goes to Call Baby by Morgan Jerkins. Did a vlog on this. If you watched it, you know I love this book. This book is about a family that lives in Harlem, I believe, New York City, and basically they have this special skin that allows women to become fertile, and everyone wants to take this skin because it's so viable for people to have babies. And so throughout this book, we deal with this black family who lives in New York City battling demons. There's some magical realism elements, which I love. I love black magical realism. It was so damn good. I love the hell out of this book. This is one of the few books that I knew I was going to give 5 stars and actually did give 5 stars. It did not let me down. I love this book. My next honorable mention goes to How the One-Armed Sister Sweeps Her House by Cherry Jones. This book is about a woman who lives on this exotic island, and all of a sudden she goes into labor and she goes to find her husband, and she sees that her husband has murdered someone. And so from there we start this woman on this journey dealing with this murderous husband that she has and this child that she has given birth to. This book was so good. This is a book I still think about. Like, I still think about the things that have happened in this book. Cherry Jones is now an author that is on immediate buy for me. Like, she's on favorite author of all time alert. Obviously, this is the only book I have read from them, but like, if I get another great book from them, they're going on all-time list. Like, this book was so good to me. So you're like, Kenya, you ranted and raved about 3 books that you love. So what are your favorite book? What is your favorite book of the year? What's your favorite book of the year? This is gonna come as a surprise because you guys know I don't like YA, and I hate YA romance even more. Charming as a Verb. Charming as a Verb is my favorite book of the year thus far. I don't see anyone topping her. I have a few books on my bookshelf that might be able to top her, but this book is by Ben Felipe, and I adored this book. This book is about 2 black kids who go to this prep school in New York City who are on the verge of going to college, and basically they're getting into things and coming together and falling in love and falling out of love. It is just so damn good. This is YA to me at its best, when it just brings back a feeling, when it restores a feeling. This book just restored a feeling in humanity to me. I just loved seeing black kids do black kid things, and I don't know, I just loved it. I loved every single scene. I loved both of the characters. My only gripe with this book is it wasn't long enough. Like, the epilogue of this book is so good. I just loved it. I loved everything about this book. This is my favorite book of the year thus far. So in the tag, there is not a worst books of the year, but I'm nothing if I don't complain. So I am going to tell you 2 books which are my worst books of the year. Now, bear with me. One of these books I actually read at the end of last year, so it's actually not even included in the 70 books I read this year, but I never got to talk about it because I literally read it on New Year's Eve. Twice Shy. Twice Shy is such a bad goddamn book. I should have known when I ended New Year's Eve on this book. I should have known going into 2022 it was going to be nothing but buffoonery from here on out. This book is so bad. So this book is about a woman who gets a house left to her by her grandmother, and she goes to this house and it is just like messed up, torn down, raggedy. And there is a guy who lives on the property of her grandmother's house, and together they decide to restore this house. Oh my gosh, this book is so bad. This book is so damn bad. I liked nothing about it. It was just terrible. It is romance at its worst to me. Both characters were not even insufferable. They were just weird. Like, they were just weird. I'm just like, ew. I don't know how anyone can like this book. Like, yuck. This book was already in my unpal bag, but like, I had to dig it out just so I could show you guys. Absolutely not. Twice Shy was terrible. My other least favorite book of the year, I feel just as strongly as Twice Shy, but probably more. The Other Black Girl. This book is a 0 out of 5 stars. This book follows a girl who is working at a publishing house, and all of a sudden she gets a mysterious note of someone basically telling her to leave. So she tries to figure out, is someone trying to get me fired from my job? Is this new black girl who has been hired at my job, is she an ally? Is she against me? What is going on? This book is so damn bad. This book is so damn bad. And you literally read the entire book waiting for like the mystery, because you know it's like a Twilight Zone thing, because nothing makes sense, right? You're like, nothing makes sense. So obviously there is something that I am missing that is going to make all of this make sense. But if you're going to do that, like a Twilight Zone moment where everything you believe gets flipped on its head, you have to make the original narrative interesting. So I'm so in tune to what's going on in the book because it's so interesting. I don't even see the twist that is in front of me. But this book does not do that, because you spend the entire book so fucking bored that you're like, what is the twist? You're just reading every single page looking for a twist, because you're like, this can't be the book. This can't be the book. So then you get the twist, and it is the worst fucking twist you have ever literally read in your goddamn life. I hated this book. Another book I had to dig deep in my unhaul bag to pull it out and show you guys. Worst book of the year so far for me. Let's move on to the next question. New releases you have. Oh, best sequel you read so far in 2022. The best sequel that I have read so far in 2022 is The Dating Playbook. But this is the best sequel that you read. So this year I read The Boyfriend Project, which is down here. And I thought The Boyfriend Project was meh. It was meh. And so when I went into this book reading The Dating Playbook, which follows another person in this group of girls that we meet in the first book, I was like, this is going to be meh too. But I enjoy the fuck out of this book. Therefore, this is the best sequel that I read. I love seeing an author grow into themselves as a writer, and like the more you read, the better it gets. And that was this book to me redeemed The Boyfriend Project, and I will be reading the third book in this series now. This is the best sequel that I read this year. Moving on, new releases you haven't read yet but want to. I picked up a pile. I picked up a pile. I went on my bookshelf and I found some new releases, books that came out this year that I have to get to, and I am going to show you. What a Match by Mimi Grace. This is an indie published book. It's a romance book. I read a book by this author called Make a Scene this year. Didn't love it, but I am excited for this one. I picked it up, as you can see, and I'm ready to read it. Zyla and Kai by Christina Forrest. Christina Forrest, this is her third published book. I own both of her books. She has Now That I Found You, and she has another book that I can't put my eyes on right now. Now I'm wondering where it's at. I know I bought the book. She has another book with that black girl on the cover with her head out like the window or something. If you know what you know it. Oh, it's called I can't read from here, you guys. I Wanna Something. I Wanna Go Where You Are. That's the book. Yeah. And so I picked this book up, obviously. Now, mind you, I ain't read none of the other two. But this might be a book club pick, so stay tuned for that. And also, I can't wait to read it. The next one is by Joya Goffney. I read Excuse Me While I Ugly Cry this year, and so I had to pick up their next book, which is called Confessions of an Alleged Good Girl. This also might be a book club pick, but I'm going to get to it this year. I cannot wait. We have Wahala by Nikki May. Cannot wait to get to this book. I don't know what it's about. And then we have Memphis by Tara M. Stringfellow. I believe when I'm looking at these books that I want to get into, I believe the second half of this year is going to be a lot better than the first. Like, I believe I'm going to read some great books. I believe all of these books have the potential to be 4 or 5-star reads. So I cannot wait. But I'm going to put these back on the floor because I have not read any of these, and these are the books that I have read. So it goes back on the floor. Let's see the next one. Biggest disappointment. So I have quite a few books that are gonna go on my biggest disappointments list. Okay. The first, I think the biggest, actually I'll do some honorable mentions and then we'll get into my biggest disappointment. So The Black Kids, I wanted to like this book. I saw people like this book. I wanted to like this book. The cover was so good. I just feel like we were sold a false premise. This book says that it's about a girl who is living in an upper class neighborhood when the Rodney King verdict comes out. And so she's dealing with this idea like, oh my gosh, everything I've come to know is not true. Now I'm noticing that I'm black. These people are white and they see me as an other. But like, that's not what the book is about. This book is just more so about a black girl dealing with like high school bullshit, and it's like, I didn't sign up for that. The next one is Lock Every Door by Riley Sager. People love this book. I did not. It's not the worst book I read this year, but it's just simply not good to me. I came in here wanting something amazing, and this had one of the worst plot twists. Like, this has a plot twist that is used a lot in thrillers that I just don't like. Like, I did not like it at all. And most people do like the book, so disappointment. The next one, The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. People love this book. This book is being turned into a movie. This book just has so many fans all over, and I found it fine. I didn't find it bad. I just found it fine. Like, I literally, when I was pulling all these books off my bookshelf to make this pile you see here, I was like, ooh, I did read that. I did read, like, it was just fine. I actually like Malibu Rising by Taylor Jenkins Reid more than I like this book. So, and next disappointing, Honey Girl. Honey Girl was just nothing to me. Like, it was just a flutter in the wind. Like, by Morgan Rogers, I just didn't, to get sapphic representation and it just not be anything worth sinking your teeth into, I just found it so damn disappointing and boring. But the biggest disappointment of the year for me will go to The Vanishing Half by Britt Bennett. I wanted to love the fuck out of this book because it has what I love. You guys know I like generational stories dealing with different people in the same family. I love it. It's my thing. It's my favorite literary, like, it's my favorite thing in literary fiction. This book just was fine. Like, it was fine. I gave it 3, maybe 3.5 stars. Like, it was fine. Like, but I just read better. Like, I just read this type of book done better. I read better books that done this year. So it's just like, what was everybody up in arms about? Like, I am so sorry. Like, when I put this next to the books that's doing the same thing this book is doing, I'm not picking this one. This is a book that I do need to revisit, but no, I did not love it. So the next one is Biggest Surprise. So I have 3 books for my biggest surprise. The first one we have is Black Book. I picked up this book because I wanted to support a Black author. I liked the cover, and I was like, I'll get to it one day. And so I got to it. I read it, and I was expecting this book to be like 2 stars, 3 stars, like something I read, but I found myself really enthralled in this book. Like, I was reading this book like, I need to know what's going to happen next, and I was not expecting it. Is it my favorite book of the year? No, but I wanted to include this in this video because, like, this book surprised me. It kept me entertained in a way I did not expect to be entertained by this book. The next one is The Beautiful Ones, kind of the same thing as Black Book. Like, even though I heard a lot of people love this book, I just did not think it was going to be for me. I did not think I was going to get it. I'm just like, I don't know. Read this book. This book was my personality for 24 hours. For 24 hours, this book was my entire personality. I love the fuck out of this book. It didn't get as high as the books that are in my favorites, so it stays here, but like, I was blown away by this book. I was. And like, my biggest surprise of the year is Andy Weir's Project Hail Mary. I thought I wasn't gonna get it. I thought I wasn't gonna get it. I wasn't gonna understand it, but I get it. I got it. I understood it, and like, I love this book. I appreciated this book more than anything. Like, it was good. Those are my biggest surprises. I never thought at the beginning of the year I would say those 3 books I liked so much. My next one is favorite new author. So you can choose an author that is just new to you, or an author who gave you their debut novel this year. I'm going to choose an author that is new to me. Believe it or not, before this year, I never read a Tiffany D. Jackson book. And I picked up 2 Tiffany D. Jackson books this year and adored both of them. I gave both of these books 5 stars. Monday's Not Coming and Grown. Tiffany D. Jackson is now on auto buy for me. Anything that Tiffany D. Jackson puts her name on, I am going to at least give it the benefit of the doubt. I let me hear a rhyme over there, and her other book, White Smoke, something like that. I have both of those books over there. I'm going to get to them. Do I think I'm going to like them as much as these 2? No. But I am willing to hear Tiffany D. Jackson out all the damn time. Like, Tiffany D. Jackson is that girl for me. This is what I want from YA. This is what I want from YA. I want YA to get gritty. I want YA to get interesting. And that's what Tiffany D. Jackson gave me with these two books. Let's move on. Newest fictional crush. I don't have a newest fictional crush because like the romance I read this year was a dud. So like no one really got, you know, became a new fictional crush. Newest favorite character. My newest favorite character is 110% the guy in Charming as a Verb. What's his name? Henry. Henry is my new favorite character. I loved Henry. I loved Henry so goddamn much. Henry is my newest favorite character in a book. I would read anything following Henry in a book. Like, I want sequels from Ben Felipe. If you're watching this, can you please write a sequel? Like, I don't know what the fuck it's gonna be about, but like, do it. I want it. Books that made you cry. Books that made me cry. 4 Aunties and a Wedding, because I was so fucking miserable. Next one, books that made you happy. The book that made me the happiest this year is With the Fire on High. I have never seen a book that was so much about black joy and black happiness and black people overcoming and just blackness. I loved it so goddamn much. With the Fire on High by Elizabeth Escovedo is 100% the book that made me the happiest this year. And I could not make this video without giving this book its 10s. I gave this book a 5-star with room. Like, I love this book. This book should actually kind of creep its way over into my favorite books of the year, but like, I'm a hold off. Okay. Most beautiful book you bought so far this year or received. Let me show ya. Disorientation by Elaine Hirschchild. This cover is so goddamn beautiful. This is the prettiest book that I bought for myself this year. Okay, what's another question? What books do you need to read by the end of the year? There's a book, yeah. What books on here do you need to read by the end of the year? So I have a chunk. These are books that like I will not let 2022 end without me reading. The first one is Eliza Starts a Rumor. I believe this is going to be one of my favorite books of the year, and I've been holding off. Because honestly, I feel like once I read this book, I will have nothing to live for. This book is so up my alley. It is so up my alley. Just fun little chicklet. Oh my gosh, I cannot goddamn wait. The next one, The School for Good Mothers. I heard this book is weird. I heard this book is all types of things, and I have to read it. Like, I need to know what this book is about. The next one is The Exhibitionist. This is another book that's been, I want to sink my teeth into. I want to know what this book is about. I deeply do. The next one is Sorrow and Bliss. I want to be a literary girl. I want to sit with the smart girls. And so I want to read Sorrow and Bliss. Like, I have to read this book before the year is up. And like, the biggest book that I need to read before this year is up, Jonathan Franzen Crossroads. I am a Franzen apologist. I don't know what to tell you. And so when this book came out, I had to get my hands on it because I'm a Franzen apologist. What can I say? And so I picked it up, and I have to read this book. I have to sit in my bathtub one night and knock out some pages of this. Like, I need it. Anyways, I feel like I haven't read a lot of books this year, but then when you look at them, I remember where I was in life when I was reading every single one of these books. But that's it. I don't think when you see me at the end of the year, this pile will be double the size. Maybe it will. Who knows? But I don't think it will. But that is it. These are the books. I wish I could go through and really tell you thoughts, because some of these books, you guys, I never did videos on. I never did anything on them, so you don't really know about them. And then there's a couple ebooks that I read that I don't have the physical copy of, but most books I do read, I have physical copies of. And you want to know, I'll leave it on this. I get hard on myself because I buy books and it's like, I don't read most of the books that I buy, and I have a bookshelf full of books that I haven't read. You want to know, that's just always going to be the thing about me. I don't keep books that I am not passionate about. I simply do not. Like, if I don't think I'm going to ever reread the book again, I get rid of it. Therefore, I always am going to have a bookshelf filled with more books that I haven't read than books that I've read, because I just don't keep things around for the sake of keeping things around. If I don't, like, half of these books are probably going to get unhauled. Like, they simply are. Like, because I just don't think I'm ever going to read them again. So, like, I'm always going to have a bookshelf full of more books I haven't read than books that I have read. Like, it's just a thing. Like, I don't know. So I get hard on myself. But then when I look at all the stuff I am reading, I am making progress in my bookshelf. It's just, bitch, I buy a lot of books. I buy a lot of books and it just keeps on replenishing. But I'm going to put these books back on my bookshelf, which is an all-day task. When you have a bookshelf, like I have a bookshelf, like when it's just the shelves, putting books back is an all-day task. So, like, I'm going to deal with that on another day. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you guys in my next one. Thanks for subscribing to Lily Reads, and peace.